We're podcasting, ladies and gentlemen.
We're on. What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Shawnee P, a.k.a. Sean Valy. First podcast of the year, 2024, coming at you.
Let's go.
And, of course, we have our guest, JBI Imagery. Josh, what's going on, man?
Hey, thank you for having me. This has been a long time coming.
It has. And this year, for the podcast, guys, I think I'm finally getting these on Spotify. So
I'm looking forward to that.
This is going to be probably number one. Or if I backtrack and go back, we probably have like 10 solids. So I'll put them out as like the 2023 collection.
Oh, I like that.
I mean,
it's not a recap, but it's a collection. I like that.
Yeah, like a collection. And maybe it won't be 10. Maybe it'll only be 5. But we'll see. We'll see what we're going to do. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, we got Josh in the building today, man. What's been going on, Josh? What's the move moving forward, dog?
What isn't the move? No.
Right.
We're more focused than ever. You know, this isn't on no cliched New Year, new me, BS. Sorry to speak so candidly, but at the same time, most of us make resolutions and we don't follow through. And I think this go around, absolutely not. Like I'm following through. Like full on sending it. This is the genuine year where we're putting all of our energy. We are not wasting time. Time is the most finite thing, ladies and gentlemen. It really is. And why waste it? There's so much stuff going on in the world, which this is not what this podcast is about.
Right.
But if anything, that should be a catalyst for you to act a little bit more urgently and a little bit more intentionally. Let's not do urgent. We'll just say intentional, right?
Intentional.
Yeah, I like that. It has a nice verbiage to it, right?
Yeah.
Intentional.
Yeah, just sounds good.
Just make the correct moves,
So how does one make the correct moves in 2024 though? Like, what are we doing different?
I like that.
We're mentally changing it up, but what are we physically doing as well?
Honestly, following through with action. Like,
okay.
One thing in the past I've noticed with myself and other people, talking to them, we have all these grand goals. One day I'm going to do this. One day I'm going to own that. One day I'm going to go to this place. We're stuck in the planning phase. It's time for that to end. No more just planning. You set a plan and you start acting on it. You start moving the ball, even if it is small, incremental steps. That's it. You want to start the business? Get the Instagram handle. Start looking at what it would be to start getting an LLC. Get super clear. So honestly, clarity, I think, is going to be the key word in 2024.
Okay.
I feel like a lot of us are so distracted because that's how it is. The world, there's instant dopamine.
They want you to be distracted.
Honestly, yes.
Right?
Like, and the reason being, I think, is one, we're easily swayed and persuaded when we're distracted, and two, is less competition.
Yeah.
And this isn't about, I'm going to compete against everyone. Honestly, it's not even my mentality. But at the same time, there should be some level of competition with yourself, your past version. Look inward. So clarity is the biggest thing right now.
Yeah. And so we heard through the grapevine that you're making a move. You're getting out of PA.
Yeah. So this has been a long time coming.
Yeah.
I've been in the planning phase for too long, if I'm going to be honest. But,
But you can't beat yourself up about that.
Once again, too. So, honestly, in life, there's no ideal moment. But I feel like for me, I was stuck in that planning phase too long. But it's okay. We're not beating ourselves up, right? But the thing is, once again, I'm following through. Like, finally, I feel like I'm at the best place mentally, spiritually, physically, financially. It sounds like a lot. I'm not here to boast. I'm just saying I took the time to actually get those things in order to feel in my heart that this was the right move. And not all aspects are perfect, so I don't want to paint that picture. I just set myself up to go. You know what I mean? To take that leap of faith.
Yeah.
I don't have it fully, completely mapped out because I also have to trust that I'm in the place to figure it out. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And you'll allow yourself the time to adjust to when you get there.
100%. Like when you're making a drastic move, like relocating to a new state or a new country or starting a new endeavor, you're not supposed to have all the answers. Like, I think part of the fun is allowing yourself the ability to be flexible and like try different things out, right?
Yeah.
Having that creative freedom. We're both artists, and I will never, ever deviate from that. even though I'm more in business and coaching and all that now, but I always will, in my heart, be a film student, that creative nature, right? So allowing myself to just be like, hey, what does an artist do? He wanders, he looks, he's more observant. And no, I'm just gonna take it in. Just presence is, I think, really a big focus right now.
Mm-hmm. That's cool, man.
Thanks, man.
Yeah. And so do you want to let people know like where you're headed? Like, or is that like something under the table? Like, so, for example, too, like you're going away and you got to start over. And so you have to rebuild business where you're going too. But you're also going to take old business with you. But
100%.
Like, how's that going to work? You know,
I think that is a really, really good question. So, you know, I think if you see my Instagram, you can kind of get an idea of where I'm going.
Sure.
I think eventually I'm going to make a more and more public announcement. But it's one of those things where I'm going to give myself at least maybe like a month to like kind of settle in.
Like this
officially.
This isn't like the expose yourself all over. Like, oh, I'm cool. I'm moving. Like, this is cool. No. Like, this is like deep. This is
this is really intentional. And like, I want to make sure I get settled in. I want to extend the grace to myself. And I think the mature and wise decision is get settled in and then make more of a formal announcement. And in regards to business, yes, I'm relocating. But the thing is about that, we tend to create stories and overcomplicate. I have a business in PA. I will still continue conducting that here, especially if it makes sense monetarily and as well as if it aligns with my values. For example, if I have a client or customer that we are able to come to an agreement and it feels right, I will come back and do business. Most people think that we are just geographically locked. Absolutely not. And that's a reason why I'm moving. Because I want to give myself the flexibility and the ability to go. I want to lead the life that is a little bit more of that quote unquote digital nomad. I know that's super popular right now. I get it. But there is some catharticness to it because you feel free. You have the chance to go and explore it. I feel like most people feel trapped because geographically they have a business that just requires them to stay. But how do you expect yourself to expand if you're not willing to go out and adventure? You know what I'm saying?
Damn.
Hey, listen.
Damn.
But, ladies and gentlemen, and we're on a podcast, so this is going to be on the internet forever. We plan on cutting it up.
Out.
Exactly. We plan on cutting it up. We're going to distribute it, and I'm posting this, right? So this is very publicly posted because it also is going to hold me accountable. Right now, I'm leading by example. My actions are going to speak louder than my words. Yes, I'm on a podcast, but if you watch my stories every day, it's almost like a documentation of keeping me accountable because I don't want to just be the talking head on the internet. You do this, and I don't have action behind my words. That's BS. It's wrong. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And I very much want to be like, oh, hey, the guy you see on your little black screen that's on your hand or computer or whatever, that's the person that is going to be in front of you, right? That you can just simply go up and talk and we jive or whatever. You can ask me questions like, yeah, dude, like I actually lead that life. We have enough BS and enough inauthenticity on the internet. I'm done with that.
Sure. Yeah. Dude, I'm just about done with it too. I mean,
it's frustrating.
It's frustrating. And the fact that it's pushed on us so hard to, you know, to run businesses and all this kind of stuff through our social medias and whatnot. Like, it's hard to not run a business without your social media. You know what
100%.
I mean? And so we're forced to use our social media. But I think it's just a matter of having control and like discipline, right?
Absolutely.
To not go overboard. Like, I was talking to you last week or maybe 2 weeks ago. I don't remember when it was, but I saw you at the day job and you were saying something about that you'll post something and then you get right off of it.
Absolutely.
Right? So like, what's that about? Just the discipline.
Yeah, so like Chris and I, Sean's brother, which obviously you know, but for the new audience coming in, one of my best friends, we use the verbiage tethered, right? Tethered means to be connected, but I want to be untethered. So untethered in my head is some sense of freedom, right? I'm not just latched on to this thing because if you really, really do your research in regards to like social media, it was designed by highly intelligent individuals that use human psychology, honestly, to benefit the tech companies. For example, when you're scrolling down, it's almost like the slot machine. It's that same gesture that it becomes addictive, right? And it's interesting that we're now living in a society where majority of us want to literally get away from our devices because now they're so addicting. They're consuming so much. Your screen time, just look at it. It's absurd. Okay, so I want to clarify this too. My screen time is highly large, and I'll tell you why, though. I'm consistently posting. I'm posting from the minute I pretty much step foot in the gym. Like, I give myself a little bit of time, like in the morning.
Sure.
Pray, journal, do all that stuff, give myself a little bit of opportunity there. But then once I get to the gym, I start posting, and then it's for my morning folks. It's for me to kind of connect to my community. But what I'm trying to get at is something you and I talked about in January. I'm focusing on creating over consuming.
That's it. That's what we're talking about.
Creating over consuming.
Yeah.
You post and you dip. You post and you dip out, right? So it's like you're not so tethered into, your device. It's hard, especially, building a personal brand or being some form of an online personality or just running a business. It's demanding. So you really do need to have time to disconnect. Like when I'm in the gym, other than me posting in the morning, I finally put my phone in like D&D or I straight up turn it off. And I'm just in the moment, locked in, you know?
You have to be.
If not, it'll drive you mad, you know?
Of course, yeah. I recently bought, funny enough, an MP3 player, right?
That is awesome, by the way.
Yeah, and
So cool.
I didn't buy it because of what we're talking about, but I later realized, like, wait a minute, I could literally load music up onto this thing, leave my phone at home, and go on a bike ride. Or like whatever I want to do, you know what I mean? And
For
be
sure.
disconnected, but still have like the music with me or whatever, podcast you can load. It's a flash drive essentially, so you can load anything you want on it.
I love that idea.
It's cool. It's like going back a little bit in time, and it looks funky too. It's like a little. I think it's JBL. I don't know what brand it is. I forget. No, it's SanDisk. I'm sorry. Like
No
SanDisk.
kidding.
Yeah. So SanDisk makes a little, MP3 player. It's 32 gigs. Like, it's cool.
It's awesome.
And I had bought it I was shooting a music video at work called 100 Wishes. Shout out 100 Wishes. Check it out if you have not seen it yet. But I had to buy it because we were shooting the music video on an iPhone. And on my iPhone, and I needed to play the song, to perform the song. So I was like, well, let me get myself a little MP3 player. So I loaded the song on the MP3 player, and then, I had it connected to headphones, and then so we could shoot on the iPhone. But just a little cool thing that I got that like threw me back retro a little bit. But with that being said, that actually brought me to my next thing that I want to talk to you about is I saw you again at work the other day, and you had earbuds in that were wired. And I asked you, what's the deal with the wired earbuds? Because you've always been up with the times and up with the technology and always having the newest of the new, the
AirPod
AirPods,
Maxes, all the crazy
you got
jazz,
the
right?
Bluetooth, Apple, whatever.
I was all teched out.
You were all teched out, and I see you on campus, and you have a wire, going to your ears. What's that about, man? If you want to talk about it a little bit.
I absolutely love this. There's actually multiple reasons, and honestly, when you were talking about it, I kind of realized one of them too. But so Chris and I were kind of talking about mostly the conversation with like the quote unquote dopamine addiction to like the phones and all that stuff. And like for this, it's almost like you get so used to having like your AirPods, like it almost becomes second nature. But when I physically have a wire on my body, it almost reminds me like, hey, like, I don't know how to explain it. I'm not just lost in the scene. Like I physically have something on me that I'm feeling rub against me or whatever. Pause. But in all sincerity, I feel the headphones on me. So like it's almost a physical gauge of like, hey, dude, like I have the ability to just take these out and be present. That's one. Two, I saw a Huberman podcast. Huberman Labs is a really, really incredibly good podcast about holistic health and just your lifestyle and stuff like that. He's incredible. He has some awesome guests, including Goggins, I believe, the one day, and a few other really, really cool people. But anyway, he was talking about the EMF, right? EMF is electromagnetic frequencies. There we are. Okay, so EMF is basically the frequencies of Bluetooth waves that are coming off your devices. I'm not here to preach about that, but essentially, I just want to limit my exposure. So I'm not completely against Bluetooth headphones. So by any means, if you see me and you take a photo of me wearing AirPod Maxes, don't call me out. No, but I just want to limit my exposure. So I'm only going to limit my time of wearing them, X amount of hours, or maybe even kind of dialing it back. Because it's like, where are the Bluetooth waves going through? Literally between my ears and directly across my head. And that's just my thought. I want to protect my brain. I want to live a long time. So I don't think this amount of technology has been around long enough to have concrete evidence of what the repercussions are. There are more studies saying that it's not the best for you.
Yeah.
And plus, like, I don't know, I just like also having a microphone if I want to create content. So there's a third reason.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, man. Yeah, it's very interesting because when you told me that, it made me think, because I'm rocking Bluetooth, every day at work. And like, funny enough, well, here's another example, but since it's not Bluetooth, like, remember the old headsets that would just like cast a radio signal?
Yeah.
Right? And you'd be like, you'd turn it on, like be able to turn on the station.
For sure.
Is that the same concept as Bluetooth, or is Bluetooth like completely different than catching like a radio signal in like them old headphones?
I'll be honest, I'm not fully versed in this to really quote, but I believe that they are a little bit different.
I would think so, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Because you're Bluetoothing directly from your phone, so your phone's shooting these signals and it's shooting signals back to here. Like, it's not like you're just putting on a set of headphones and there's an antenna going up to wherever. It's like you're being pulled into
you're the antenna. Like, yeah,
exactly.
Short version, like you literally are the antenna, and that's, I think, the alarming thing for me.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've been really, really conscious of my health. And I'm not unhealthy by any means. I'm not sick or anything. Knock on wood. God willing, I have a nice, long, and healthy life. But I'm thinking that way. I mean, I'm 26 years of age.
It's about the right time.
Yeah,
to start being like,
I'm healthy and young, but I want to have the longevity. I want to be here for my family. I want to do as much as I can until it's my day to go. I want to be here, and I want to have a good quality life. That's one thing. People are so obsessed with money, 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 money. Money, yes, you need it for resources, but I like to think in abundance. Abundance is actually like more all aspects of life. Your health is in check, your mentality and mental wellness, your connections to your family. So, yeah, I'm focusing on abundance, more well-roundedness. You know?
Yeah, sure. Which makes sense, especially with your growth over the past 2-3 years. Your self growth your journey that you've been on, essentially.
Yeah. And
so I'm wondering too, Josh, what's like the morning routine like at this point? Like what's a wake up, and then get the day started kind of day? Because for me, mine's I roll out of bed and then 10 minutes I'm in my car driving to the day job, and it's like I feel drained, I feel uninspired, you know what I mean? Like I feel tired.
Yeah.
And so, like, I see on your social media you're at the gym early in the morning. What drives you, and what's the morning routine like for you?
Yeah, I think this is super valid, because I think in the morning, one, it in my opinion, is actually the most important part of the day, because obviously it's setting the tone for the rest of your day. Also, in regards to, like, I heard this once upon a time, but the speaker was Les Brown. He was talking about how, like, our brain, in regards to, like, our ability to, like, learn and stuff, like the alpha and beta waves, there's more beta waves, which makes us more suggestible in the morning versus you being fully awake, right? So how your morning starts 100% will affect the rest of your day. If it's your habits are basically going to continue over and over, weeks, months, whatever. I'm not going to go fully into that, but short version, in the morning, I always walk. Immediately,
No way.
I will. So I get up, and I posted this the other day because someone physically asked me, why are you going to the gym so early? And I'm like, honestly, because I wake up so groggy and miserable. That's human nature. I think everybody, dude, you could be the most motivated, best athlete ever, and somehow you're still going to feel some level of grogginess. You're disorientated, just natural, right?
Yeah.
You were in a deep place of rest. But when I wake up, I get myself up, and, immediately once I start like kind of gaining consciousness, I immediately, not preaching, you can believe whatever you want, but I say, thank you, God, for another day of life. You can say thank you to love, consciousness, the universe, whatever you believe in, right? But I'm thankful in the morning. And even when I'm groggy, I'm just happy to be alive.
So that's on some affirmation type thing, or is
kind of? It's almost internal. Like in my brain, like once I start getting ready and I start throwing clothes on for the gym, I already know I'm just thankful to be here. Like off the rip. Like I'm like, I'm very happy. I try to say it out loud. I'm like, thank you for another day. I'm happy to be here. Throw my clothes on, go to the gym. And sometimes there's been moments where I've literally recorded reels when I was basically half asleep, because most geniuses, Einstein, Tesla, all these people, they would literally take quick naps and they would like get an idea in their sleep, and then they would start writing it down or start acting on it. So there's sometimes I'll just wake up and I'm already in that gears are moving and I just record. Sometimes I'll never see the light of day because I didn't like how it sounded. I didn't like the flow of the video or whatever, but I kind of get myself in that groove. Then I put something on my headphones that are positive. But honestly, I know that was very long, so short version, start moving in the morning. First thing you should honestly do is start walking. Walking will clear your brain.
Yeah.
It releases dopamine, and it also changes your physiology, which is your chemicals. It releases endorphins, and there's so many studies backing it. Plus, our ancestors did it. If people back
they were
then,
on foot constantly.
all the time, but they would go for morning walks all the time. I specifically like the Stoicism belief, so Marcus Aurelius, all the Stoics and stuff, and they would walk in the morning. It just changes. Like, you have an ability to just think a little bit more clearer. If you're groggy and stressed and all that, you're walking and you're moving, so immediately you are going to change your mood. It's hard when you're doing some physical labor and stuff, so I can't even imagine like shocking your body like that. But moving, like walking, is actually going to help a little bit. You kind of get into the groove of the day.
That hydration too.
Oh, water too. Yeah, that's big too. And the fact that I'm already going to the gym, I'm consciously hitting the water too. So I'm drinking water and I'm moving. That's like the first immediate things I do. So gratitude, I go on a walk, and I drink water.
Now, non-negotiably.
Even if I'm walking around the block for literally 5 minutes, as I'm rushing, I refuse. I'd rather go to somewhere late. I'm being full disclosure here, because if my state is wrong and I'm not in the best place, that's for me wrong. I'm doing injustice to you, to whoever I'm pulling up to, whether it's work or family, unless it's an emergency. But like, if I know, I'm like, hey, I only have 5 minutes. Dude, if I can't allocate 5 minutes to myself, I don't have life.
Sure.
I'm being honest. Like, 5 minutes to be, hey, thank you for another day. Appreciate you. Move around. Go outside. If it's cold, I still will go, because there'll be a little bit of cold exposure. Rain, I won't. I'll just go to the gym and I'll walk on the treadmill. But like, move. Give yourself 5 minutes. Like, half of us just jump to the next thing, and no wonder why we're so angry. You literally didn't
give yourself time.
You didn't treat yourself well. Like, this is your vessel, dude.
Self-care for 5 minutes.
Yeah, and then we're wondering why we're so pissed off and groggy in the morning. Like, dude, you didn't give yourself the chance. Like,
sure.
Are you going to go a week without brushing your teeth? No. Are you gonna, some people, right?
Some people, yes.
Yeah, pardon me here. I'm going to
move that. And you can tell, too.
Gross, right?
23. Cool.
All right, we're doing good?
Yeah.
Okay. So, yeah, like, essentially, you wouldn't ignore, like, brushing your teeth or showering. Why would you neglect your mind? Everyone neglects it because we don't think about it, but then it obviously affects everything. You're miserable towards your family. You're miserable towards your coworkers. You're angry. Bro, like, just take some accountability and take care of yourself.
Yeah.
We think we have to have some extravagant, morning routine. No, just go on a walk. Say something you're thankful for, or text people you're thankful for. I do that a lot. It could be literally 6 a.m, and I'll say, hey, I appreciate you. I'll send a voice memo. It's mostly to my family, because they tend to be up, and I just say, I love you guys. Like, I'm so thankful for you. And I immediately feel better, because I'm like grounded. I'm like, hey, these are the people I love. These are people I'm thankful for. I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to be alive. It's a gift. Even if, dude, there's so much stress. But immediately I'm changing my state. Ready? This is one of my favorite quotes. Where your focus goes, your energy flows. If my focus is on the people that I'm thankful for, immediately in the morning, it's still going to set the tone for the rest of my day. That no matter what hardship is coming my way, I already set the tone of like, it's fine. I already know the things that matter. This problem is just a fleeting thing. No matter what, I'm going to get through it. So I'm just going to remember the people I love and care about, including myself, because you need to love yourself. That's fine. That's it.
That's
you
it.
know, it doesn't have to be complicated.
Yeah.
We overcomplicate.
Yeah.
And that was one of the biggest changes for me. I'm going to be fully vulnerable. I'm like, dude, analysis paralysis was my personal pain point.
What's analysis paralysis?
But analysis paralysis is overthinking. And I'm a human. I fall into this too. And this is the reason why your routines are so important, because they help baby you and gauge you back onto the right path. So analysis paralysis is where I was so fixated on the wrong thoughts. I was overthinking, like, do I go left? Do I go right? What do I do? What do I do? What do I do?
So how do you combat this?
Honestly, allowing yourself to be still. I'm listen, I know it sounds like some Zen Buddha stuff, right? But when you really give yourself the opportunity to just chill for a moment and just say, okay, if I don't have to oblige by anyone else's standards, not fearing judgment, and I actually ask myself, what is it that I truly want, that I feel in my heart is the right thing? Forget the money, forget all those massive things, because the why is the most important thing. Why am I doing this? It's a simple question, but you know how much clarity you'll get out of why am I doing this? Most people don't know why they're doing what they're doing, so they end up doing things that they hate. Listen, it's... Bro, come on. Just ask yourself why.
Bam. and stop doing things you hate, okay?
Yeah, it's true. But like, I get it. I understand we do things because of necessity.
That, and because most people in this world and in our country fall into society's norms. So they send the kids to school, then the kids get sent to colleges, and they don't know what they want to do. Talk about asking why. Yeah, they don't even know why they're at school. And so we have this society that we're living in where no one knows what they're doing and why they're doing it. And it's because most people...
It's programming.
It's programming. Most people haven't woken up, you know, and most won't. Or people woke up, but they're just like, I'm okay. I'm accepting, you know, this average situation, because you'll get by as long as you keep on the track. But are you happy with where you're at? You know what I mean? And so I feel like that's what most people are doing, are just walking on the track, getting by, being okay, being somewhat comfortable, but not even knowing why they're even doing it to begin with, you know?
Yeah, and there's something I want to clarify, because, like, happiness doesn't necessarily mean a Rolex, a Lambo. Like,
Sure.
Everyone's definition of happiness is completely different.
Some people might want the average.
And honestly, as long as you feel joy and you feel fulfilled, that's okay. I'm never going to cast judgment if someone's like, hey, like, I just love the house. I love having a beautiful television, have the ability to...
They might just love the apartment. You know what I mean?
That's okay too. Like, there's never casting a judgment. That's something I want to make abundantly clear. As long as you feel joy. But the thing that gets me, that upsets me, because this was me for so long, was I'm going to complain about my situation and feel that I don't have the opportunity to change it and decide not to change it. It's sad, but the first step of changing is getting clarity, knowing your whys. Hey, I'm not where I want to be at because of health or whatever. Listen, I'll just speak candidly. I'm overweight. I'm unhealthy. Well, okay. What's your first step of changing? Oh, I can go to the gym. But honestly, sometimes it's not even enough. Most people change when it's some crazy life existential
like a
threat.
health crisis that they're gonna... You could die if you keep this up, and they're like, "Oh my god!"
But why wait to that point when you can make another
choose?
Correct. Your why can be, hey, like, once again, even my why, I'll tell you for the sake of example, I go to the gym because I want to live long enough to, one, be there for my parents, two, see my niece graduate and see her grow up, three, for my future wife and kids. I want to be the strong, healthy, able father / husband, all that stuff for my future family.
Alpha figure.
Honestly, a strong, healthy male figure, which I sometimes feel like we nowadays are going through it because we don't even know what the definition of healthy masculinity is, right? Honestly, I don't even think there is necessarily healthy or toxic masculinity or anything. I think it's just toxic or healthy in general, right?
Sure. Keep it simple, right?
You're just a healthy person, or a toxic person. When you boil it, when you simple it down. But it's like, I want to be the person that has, for my family specifically, a little bit more emotional intelligence, be able to help them and be there for them. So, listen, your whys are just important, is what I'm trying to get at. Like, no matter what, you're going to work because you want to, obviously you need to take care of bills and you need to live and all that. But if you want to change yourself, your whys are important. I can't drill that in enough, but that is the most important thing because it gives you clarity. You're like, I know why I'm doing something now. Like, if it's to make music because you feel joy or you want to make a career out of it, those are still very big enough whys to continue going. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Especially when it gets difficult. That's the thing why whys are important. I'll tell you the truth that half of the time I don't want to go to the gym. I'm lazy. I'm tired.
Yeah.
I don't want to make a video. But then I'm like, no, like I much rather deal with the pain of discipline than regret. Regret sucks.
Yeah.
It weighs ounces, bro.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. It weighs tons. So discipline weighs ounces and regret weighs tons.
Okay.
Bro, regret sucks.
Yeah.
Plain and simple.
And most people live with regrets.
Yeah. And like, but when you simplify it, like, dude, like I much rather regret far less. It's another why too. That's why people travel. Because FOMO can be used actually for your benefit other than you just going to the bar. Like, whatever, to each his own, right? But for me, sure. I don't get a thrill out of that.
Neither
necessarily.
do I.
It gets boring after a while.
That's why we do this kind of stuff.
Honestly, yeah. Like, traveling, having fun, exploring. You know, every once in a while, fine. Dude, like, have fun. You know, but when you find more joy out of something that's more purposeful, like, I'm a big proponent on creating. Like, people think, like, creating is just limited to creators like us, but architecture is a work of art. Poetry is a work of art. Speaking is a work of art. Mechanics, like working on cars, a work of art. As long as you're putting your energy into something else, it's beautiful. Like, and that's one thing, too, I encourage. Like, if you haven't picked up a hobby that you've wanted to do for a while, cooking, playing guitar, bro, go on YouTube. There's so many free resources. Go on TikTok now.
It's facts.
It's that, and this was another hard pill to swallow, but we're here. Let's just run it. I'm gonna drop another one, okay? It's never a lack of resources. It's a lack of resourcefulness. This was one of the most bitter pills I had to swallow. I wanted to blame everything. I wanted to blame the economy. I wanted to blame COVID. I wanted to blame this and this and this. And I can go down the CVS receipt long of BS excuses that I was making up. I was making it up. Okay? I was telling myself. I was hypnotizing myself over this. I was living in the story. And I was like, honestly, I can just look it up. We have Google. We have all these different free resources. Just look it up. Just start. Don't overcomplicate. You don't have to have a massive microphone setup and camera for a podcast, bro. Literally, you can get a $30 mic that is right here.
Facts.
You can literally get a used iPhone or a old Canon camera because, like, go on Marketplace. You don't have the money, then, you know, save, put a few dollars. Eventually get it. You know?
Yeah.
Literally wired headphones.
Write the scripts out if you don't have the equipment yet, you know? Right.
Oh, that's very true, too.
Right? Like, get it all out of your head.
100%.
While you're saving up, while you're getting ready.
And
then when you
I
can
like
get
that a lot.
Yeah, right? Because
you're still
prepping.
You're still prepping for that thing. Yeah. Or, like, even in your case, you're like, all right, well, I don't feel like renting a studio. So you literally built one. I'm literally in a studio that you created with your hands.
Facts.
Listen, like,
on some Noah's Ark type vibes.
There's actually a video of, like, your process, and it's fun. Is there? You literally,
It's on my YouTube, right?
Yeah, you document it. You creating this whole thing. Yeah.
Wait a minute.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
I totally forgot. Yeah, for sure.
But like even watching you in the process, you had so much fun. Like there's joy in creating.
Well, that's been my whole thing, Josh. Since I was a kid, I didn't know what was going on with me because I always had this weird creative situation where I wanted to build something. And like this started when I was really, really young. Like you could probably ask my mom or ask my dad, like what did Sean keep asking when he was young? All I asked for was wood and a hammer. I wanted to build
That's
things.
so cool.
Yeah, I wanted to be, my first thing I ever wanted to be was a woodworker. I don't know why. I just wanted to be a woodworker. What's a woodworker in today's society? I don't know, making cabinets, like being a carpenter, building
100%.
houses, whatever. But it wasn't when I grew up, I realized it wasn't about being a woodworker. It was about building something from nothing. And that's my biggest thing.
That's beautiful.
That I live by is that anyone can build something from nothing. And so
it's really true.
Yeah, and so going from wanting to be a woodworker to, wanting to build a song or create a video with Chris or you know what I mean? Like that's what it turned into. But building this studio was a plus, and it paid homage to my younger self of me wanting to build, something out of wood, or even back in the day when the garage would have, ramps in it and stuff like that. I do enjoy physically building things. That's why I always like sculpture and that kind of art of.
I'm literally actually wearing a ring that you made.
Yeah.
And also shout out to your mom who literally made the bracelets I'm wearing. So
shout out Entranced HM.
Please give a follow.
But yeah, dude, like it from a young age, I knew that I wanted to build. And so it just transitions. And so for anyone out there who wants to do something, or like when your younger self was, you haven't done what your younger self wanted to do, try it. And it doesn't have to be the exact same thing, but it can be, you can reshape yourself and figure out what you enjoy doing. And for me, it's just making something from nothing,
I love this. Thank you for sharing. Because like,
for sure,
I feel like us, once again, we get stuck in not knowing how to do something, but the first step is just simply doing it, right? Just putting they always say pen to paper, or like you start getting your footing, right? You start moving. And yeah, there's something about creating. It's super cathartic. And one thing when you said about like you being a little kid, isn't the coolest thing when you look inwards and remember what your younger self wanted to do, and you start realizing those things? Like you created music, you start building, and you're like, dude, like you tap back into that non-fear. Little kids do. They're not fearful of anything. No. For the most part. They just do.
Yeah.
They're like, damn the BS stories that the adults are talking about. I'm just going to do it. And like when you let that go, you just simply do, bro. It's beautiful. Like that's, I think, what a lot of society is wanting and longing for, but they just don't give themselves permission.
Yeah, and they forget too who they were. We all started from a little sprout. We were little kids running around having fun on bikes and exploring and adventuring, and then as you grow older, and like we were saying before, you fall into society's norms. You let go of your younger self and your passions, your true self. And that's what's cool about us as creators and like entrepreneurs is we broke that barrier and realized like, wait, I still want to do what I want to do, just like when we were kids. Like we're 100%. Still explorers, you know what I mean? And it's a beautiful thing to be able to realize that and not, dwell in society's norms, right? So like that's 100%. Essentially where you're at in your life is, what your purpose is now, right? Like you're on the track.
It took a while. It did, because I finally now, and I have to continuously do this every day, remind myself that I'm done holding myself back. Simple. Like I don't want to anymore. Like, time is not guaranteed. It's finite. I might lose. I'm sorry, knock on wood, but I very well might not exist tomorrow. And that thought, I've also made peace because it's life. It's the cycle of life, right? But I'm like, hey, like, none of this actually matters. It matters, but it also doesn't. It's interesting because it's two sides of the coin. You can remind yourself you're just a speck of dust in the universe. You're like, hey, like, we're just frequencies and atoms and particles, all that good stuff, right? But then also it all matters. It's interesting because this is your story. This is your reality. You're like, oh my God, everything matters simultaneously, and sometimes it doesn't. But it's very liberating. What I'm trying to say is like, hey, like, why would I not want to do that? I've already tried to literally live by the norms of society, put myself in a box. I tried. I did. I hated it.
You did it for years.
I did it for years. And honestly, I wholeheartedly, hand to heart, did it to the best capability that I could.
And it wasn't about the people.
Absolutely not. And I want to make that abundantly clear. It's never a reflection of anyone. It was never a reflection of what anyone told me. It was never a reflection of anything except me. It just didn't feel right.
It was the true story of, no, it's not you, it's me.
Honestly.
For most scenarios.
Yeah, no. In all sincerity, yes. Because, like, you know, I don't know. There's for me, once again, never preaching religion, but for me, there's certain things that resonate. There's a Bible verse that literally says, you have not because you have not because you ask not. I believe that. I feel like we don't give ourselves the courage to ask. And even if it's asking of ourselves, giving ourselves permission to do something. There's been so many times where I'm like, well, this is going to be a risky choice. And I'm like, yeah, but like, what's the worst case scenario? And when you make peace with the worst case scenario, you're like, okay, well, worst case scenario is already written down. I could fail. I can lose. I can be embarrassing. Who cares? Throw the cringy BS out. Bro, no one's going to remember. Like, and even if they do, who cares? Because you even think generationally, there's only going to be X amount of people that will remember you unless you live forever, like the legends or whatever. And that's cool. That's great. And a lot of people, some people strive for that, and that's wonderful. But it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It really doesn't.
Yeah.
And there is some beauty in detachment in some way. Mm-hmm. You get detached from the outcome. Sure, set goals. You would love to strive for that thing. But when you're like, hey, you know what? I already set the intention to have that. I'm going to get it. And I will get it because that's my standard. But at the same time, like, it'll happen when it's supposed to. I'd rather get something because it was supposed to happen than force it. Because you know what happens when you force something? It's going to crumble. Sorry.
Always.
Every single time you get into the relationship that you were not supposed to. You went to a place you were not supposed to. There's certain things that we just force upon. We do this thing, and then we're like, God, that ended horribly. Mm-hmm. Well, what did you think? You forced it. But it's funny because when you start doing something in accordance, when it actually feels right in your heart, you notice some things actually come easier. You will meet the right people. You have the right connection. Somebody that was even in your close proximity was like, oh, hey, I totally forgot. There's so-and-so. I introduced them to you. And you meet someone incredible. It sometimes just happens naturally. It's beautiful.
And those are the best, encounters.
Yeah, because you're not fighting an uphill battle. It just naturally came to you. You set the intention. You're focused. You put your effort. But now you have to be ready to receive. I love this analogy. I have a coaching client of mine. And I mentioned to him, was like, hey, what would you do if you knew your favorite, for him, there's like somebody he really admires. I was like, what would you do if you knew that this person was going to come to your house for a podcast tomorrow? Your house would be the cleanest it has ever been ever. Every single square inch, your house would be like repainted in a night. You would not sleep because you're so excited to receive this person or this thing. Why not start acting like that in real life when you know with pure, hey, like, non-negotiably that this thing's going to happen? Just prep for it. Prepare to receive that blessing, that job that you want, because you're already doing the things in order to get it. You built a studio because you're like, hey, like, why would I wait for someone else? And you willingly went to Lowe's or wherever, you bought the wood, you had the vision of the studio, and you built it. But most of us are so scared to just take that initial step. But why? Bet on yourself. Like, This isn't no BS. Listen, I'm not going to be screaming at you, but I'm like, dude, like, bro, just take that initial step and just know in the back of your brain, if I'm consciously making this effort, it's going to happen. It's just simple cause and effect.
That's it.
Just do the thing. That's it. Don't overcomplicate it.
Yeah.
You want to be a musician? Start getting the lessons. Start learning. Start doing, like we said.
So for people who do start doing, and start putting themselves out there, they're going to catch times where they fail.
100%.
Right? And so how do we pick ourselves up after, a hardship, a fail?
I love this question because it's a true one. Oh, sorry, guys. Give me a second here. All right. So what do we do when we fail?
Yeah.
I want to answer this in the most loving way possible. So just bear with me for a moment. Then if you give up, it's just not going to happen. Point blank. If we simplify it, it's like, hey, like, I gave up on myself. How about we will switch the scenario? Imagine if it's a family member that you love and in your heart of hearts that they have the capability of getting that thing done. And literally something hits them, a hardship, whatever. But in your heart, like, hey, if they do not give up, they're one deal away or they're one video away. There's something away, but in your heart and you want them to continue going. How would you treat them? You would love them a little extra. You would support them a little extra. We do not do that to ourselves because we are so fixated on the outcome. But we have to remind ourselves, hey, like, when we don't win, it's only an insight of what didn't work. But it's like, don't you owe you to win? You owe it to yourself. Do it. It's hard, I know. But those are the times that you nurture yourself back into it. You go back into reflection mode and be like, okay, what did I do that was actually successful in this process of trying to get what I needed, and what didn't work? And you keep working. And honestly, you know what? Fine. That was the more softer approach. If you want to be... All right.
Get brutal with it, man.
Yeah, you gotta tap into that chip on your shoulder. If listen, you try to nurture yourself, you baby yourself up. I think, okay, there's actually both. So ready? Okay, you experience a horrible, horrible loss. In the beginning, you're going to have to nurture yourself. But then you're going to have to turn on that competitive nature to get yourself back on the grind. But it's not competing against other person unless you're an athlete or whatever. But it's to yourself. So you're pissed off, tap back into the pain, build yourself back up, use all your fire, your anger, your momentum towards that specific goal. So I think it actually is a duality. In the beginning, you're going to have to nurture yourself out of that because it's like, you have a wound. You have to kind of like nurture it, right? But then when you're good, you're going back at that goal to like to catch up for the time that's lost, So yeah, you nurture and then you tap back into the pain. And when you're back at a good space, you're going to be good, And
then all you have left is a few scars that
you just know
show where you came from.
Honestly, right? It makes you a more compelling person. There's always
more story to you, right?
I'm always
what's this scar from?
Yeah, you're always going to want to listen to the person that overcame the thing versus the person that was just born with it. Oh yeah, like I was just born with this God-given talent, or oh, like I'm a trust fund person. I mean, I'm not knocking on these people. Some people are just really, really lucky and whatever. That was just their story that they got in life. But, the people that went through the most hardships, it's the Rocky story. That's why it's so classic, right? It's that underdog. It's you literally had life beat you until you literally you wanted to give up. That's it.
You said a good point about, you got to pick yourself back up. You got to go through, the hardest of things and realize like I'm down and I got to go back up. And I watched the movie the other day. I don't know if you ever seen this movie, but it's called Unbroken. And it was I'm pretty sure it was
about the war.
Yeah, it was produced by Angelina Jolie or directed by Jolie or something like that. But what you were just talking about reminded me of this movie where this guy is in World War II and the plane crashes, then they're in the sea.
He gets captured, right?
They get captured and they go through, a prison camp essentially, and the dude's beating him down, and towards the end of the movie they make him hold up a piece of wood over his head for like a whole 12 hours or something like that. Like they say, if you drop this piece of wood,
you're done. And
so he has a piece of wood and his ankles are shaking and all that stuff, and he plants his feet and he goes
and he
lifts it up.
I've seen clips of that.
Because he says, I'm not... yeah, that's definitely a movie to check out, but he says, I'm not failing today. I'm not... This isn't the end for me. This is the beginning. The dude went on to live... I don't know when he might have passed or if he even passed, but at the end of the movie, when he's 82 years old, he's running a marathon, doing like a 10K or something. And waving the flag of what country he was in when he was getting beat down,
tortured and stuff,
which was Tokyo, I believe, or Japan.
Yeah, probably World War II sounds about correct. But I've never seen it, but that's
dude, it's
beautiful.
It just reminded me of what we were just talking about, and that movie called Unbroken is the perfect example of what we were just talking about failure, but like getting up. And he didn't necessarily fail, but he was in his life in those moments was being beat down and beat down and beat down, where he could have just given up and just been like, just hit me until I'm done, but he got hit and he survived and came out way on top. And so I don't know, that movie just reminded me of what essentially we were just talking about failure and stuff.
Yeah, and like, yeah, it's so true. Like sometimes, like, half the battle of once you lose, it was just the endurance of like surviving. Like, it's everyone, I don't care who you are, you're going to go through a season of suffering, because that is just life. But all it really is designed to do is, well, what it's intended to do is to make you better. I get it's hard, especially when you lose family members and things like that. I empathize. I extend my love to you. But even during those times, it's a time of reflection. And those times is when you're supposed to reflect, because you start looking at your life and really questioning, like, to make sure that you are on the right path, that you're doing the right things. And it's hard. It really is. But there was one thing that my uncle had told me. I was going through so much during that. And I'm not going to open up that can of worms, because there's been a lot of healing that's happened since that period of time in my life. But it was the darkest time in my life, to say the least. And he said, yes, you're going through this thing, but do not lose the beauty of the lesson during the pain. Those words have haunted me.
Wow.
Not haunted me in a bad way. They have just lived in my head. I'll repeat it one more time. Do not lose the beauty of the lesson in the pain that you're experiencing. Those words have helped me so much, because it's like, yes, you're acknowledging the pain. You are. It sucks. But like, you have to look for that little silver lining. It could be small, man. You could literally be the thought of like, well, I'm clearly at rock bottom, so evidently I have to go up. It could be something as simple as that, or literally remembering the people that you love. Bro, when I'm going through it, I think of my family. I love them. I'm like, you know what? Who would I be to give up on myself and let those people down? You feel like crap, but imagine the people that are rooting for you. They love you. They sometimes would even trade places with you because they hate seeing you endure that much pain, but they physically can't. So it's like, okay, I owe it not only just myself, but when you owe it to them, it becomes bigger than you. So that has really, really helped me as well. I know we're still on this topic, but I right now I feel like I need to share this with you. So once again, you remember the people that are rooting for you. It's in every sports movie, even like with Rocky.
Right.
We'll put Rocky 6. He said, what did you tell the kid? It ain't about how hard you hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. And he remembers telling his son this. But imagine that's a strong enough why. But like, you know what? I'm not letting my son down. I'm not letting my family down, whatever. You get up. And it almost like ignites an even deeper fire because you're like, yeah, you know what? You're right. I'm not letting myself down. I'm not letting them down. I owe it to me and I owe it to them above me, the people I'm trying to do this for. So you're wise. Once again, honestly, if there's a literal reason for this podcast is why. You have to remember your whys.
Why?
Why are you doing it? It's a simple question, but there's so much power and clarity in your whys. And that's why I feel like majority of us don't do certain things because we don't know our whys. We don't have clarity. And honestly, why we even like stop ourselves is like, what if I do this wrong? Like, but you know what? My why's bigger. I'm going to figure it out. Oh, well, I messed up. That sucks. I failed. Oh, well, let's try something different. Because my whys are bigger. They're the things that are going to be the catalyst of keep going. Yeah, you know, remember the people that you love. Because love, let's talk about, you know what? Let's talk about one of my favorite Nolan movies is Interstellar.
Yes, sir.
I love that movie so much. And you know why Christopher Nolan wrote that movie? Was because he was away from his family and he loved them so much. What does the main character do, Cooper? He leaves Earth to save his children because he loves them. The whole theme of that movie is love. Love transcends everything. Literally, when the main character is trying to talk to Murph, and I mean, the movie's been out since 2014, so you guys got to catch up.
One of the best.
It's incredible. My favorite Nolan movie, and I love Nolan. He's saved cinema, right? That's the film student talking, but that movie, the lesson is love. When love is one of the main catalysts for your life, you're willing to go longer. You're willing, in life, endure pain, right? You're willing to go through more stuff because you know your reasons. And if love is backing your reasons, you're going to win no matter what. Because love. If you're doing it out of hate, and I know I said tap into your pain earlier, and I'm not saying that to be resentful. I'm saying that because sometimes it is a swift kick to be like, okay, you know what? Like, you remember the things you had to endure, but love will always, always outweigh the hate. Always, dude. It's always love. I'm not here to be cheesy. I'm not talking about the BS love. No, I'm talking about that feeling internally that it lights you up on fire. That it's almost like, oh my God, you feel almost like ecstasy in some sense. You're just like, dude, that's how I feel about my family. That's what I feel about my passions. That's why I'm doing the things I do now, because I absolutely love them. They light my soul on fire. And even with sharing art, I'm so persistent on sharing art every day, whether it's a movie clip, whether it's Van Gogh, whether it's painting, because it lights my soul on fire. It reminds me the beauty of humanity when we create, even during our pain. Some of the most important pieces of art on earth have been made during our pain.
Facts.
Do not lose yourself in the story of your pain. Remind yourself, hey, like, I'm doing this because I love the people around me, because I want to give. And you know what, since we're here, we're already going to talk about a deeper subject. Why do people end up taking their lives? Because they feel hopeless, but majority of them just wanted their situation to change. And sometimes it is taking yourself out of the story and reminding yourself of the people that you love, the people that are rooting for you, to stop you from actually going through with a irreversible situation. So think about your loved ones, you know, and that's just a huge catalyst in every aspect of my life, is thinking about the people that I love, because it's bigger than me. If it was just about me, bro, oh my God, I'd be lazy as hell. I would do absolutely nothing, bro. I would just,
you'd just be a bum. Like,
yeah, bro, I just wouldn't care.
Oh my God, I wish. I wish I could just lay and
I know, just
eat
be cozy.
popcorn. Yeah.
Dude, I was like talking about midday. I was like, God, I just want to be in a hammock,
roads
taking a little nap on a hammock. And I'm like, I can't do that.
Which you will be, man, when you get out to where you're headed.
Oh, 100%.
Right?
Yeah, you'll give... There is also, you need to take care of your well-being and have fun. So rest when you need to. But yeah, you're wise. Think about the people you love. And yeah, where I'm going is going to be warm, a hint. Sometimes cold. But no, I'm excited. And everyone's going to see. Because right now, I don't want to be like, oh, blah, blah, blah. I want to settle in first. I owe it to me first. Mm-hmm. But
Kyle's going to be real mad when I put this podcast out before his. Sorry, Kyle, dog. We got to redo one, man, because the last one got... You know what happened in the last one. It didn't go as planned. But Josh, listen, man. I think we hit on some really cool points in this podcast. I think
so as well.
I think to the audience out there, if you're listening,
I know you're out there,
which we know. I hope you guys took in some of the stuff that we talked about and really,
Absolutely.
Consider it and put it into your life, and use this video as a tool for yourself, because that's what we strive for as entrepreneurs and life coaches and musicians. Is we hope to give someone something that they can use to help themselves with. And I feel like in this podcast we hit on some really cool points, Josh. And
100%. Just know we did it out of love. That's it. We
out
did
of love,
it.
man.
We did it. We did it for you guys.
We said why, and it's because
out of love, to give value to you guys. And thank you so much. Thank you for having me, Sean.
Yeah, of course, Josh.
I'm excited for the next one.
Yeah, dude.
It's going to be a little bit of a change in scenery.
It will be.
Come through. We're going to have fun.
I'm a pull up with the equipment, and you'll have some equipment too. So
100%.
I might keep it light. I might just come with the mic, and
all we need is a camera.
That's
a
it.
mic.
And we have all
good.
that. We all have
I
everything that we use, which is cool. We're all creators, so
absolutely.
But yo, best of luck, Josh.
Hey, thank you so much, and we appreciate you.
Yeah.
And I will catch you in the next one.
In the next one, Valy's Corner, Shawnee P, aka Sean Valy, JBI Imagery, Josh out. Peace, guys.
Before we sign off, we're rooting for you. Keep going.
Keep going.